To activate the camera on the Samsung Galaxy S9, even if it's locked, simply double tap on the power button. Now, if that feature doesn't work, go to the settings in the camera and scroll down until you see the following option, which is called Quick Launch. Toggle it on if you want to use that, or toggle it off if you prefer not to use the power button to get to the camera. Let's have a look at some simple camera shooting modes first. Obviously, if you just tap the shutter button, that will take a single picture. You can do the same thing with the volume rocker as well. If I press the volume rocker, that takes a picture. But you can change this setting if you want to. If you scroll down to the very bottom of the options, you have the press volume key 2. Currently it's set to take pictures, but you can change it to record video instead, zoom, or just use it as system volume. To take a rapid sequence of shots, otherwise known as burst mode, hold down the shutter button like so. When you look at burst mode shots in the photo gallery, there are a couple of things you can do with them. For example, you can see how many photos I've taken here, and if I tap on that, it will show me all the pictures. I can tap on each one individually, and if I wanted to save one of these as a picture, I tap on Save Image. But what you can also do is animate this burst mode if I want to by tapping on the 3 dots in the top right hand corner and then tapping Create GIF, and there you have a quickly made animation from your burst mode shot. By default, the camera will auto-focus on whatever object it thinks you want to focus on, but you can tap on screen to focus on something else. For example, if I tap on this object in the foreground, as you can see, it slightly refocuses. I tap on the object in the background, and again, it slightly refocuses. When you tap on the screen to focus, you'll also see the exposure meter down here, and you can drag that up and down to change the exposure level manually. You can pinch to zoom on screen like so, or alternatively, you can use the shutter button by pressing and sliding, and again this acts as a zoom option. If you want to force your camera to take pictures in high dynamic range instead of auto, which is a default, you can go to Settings and then go to HDR Rich Tone. It's currently set to auto, but obviously if you set it to on, then it will show you in the top right hand corner that it's always on. And just in case you need to know where the flash setting is, it's right here in the middle. 3 options: auto, off, or on, and we're going to set it to auto. Now watch what happens when I remove this Android doll from the camera and then put it back in. You will notice that it's slightly shifting the focus and the exposure. If you want to fix both focus and exposure, press and hold on the object until you get this yellow dot that says AF AE exposure. Now when I remove something, it's not going to try and adjust the focus or the exposure, it's going to fix it in that position. To turn that off, simply tap anywhere else on screen. As an alternative to exposure and focus lock, you can turn on focus tracking. To do this, go to Settings and then turn on Tracking AF. Now when I tap on this object here, the camera is going to try and focus on this object no matter where it is in the field of vision. So I can bring it towards the camera, I can take it further away, and the focus is trying to track this image as it moves. Now at the moment, as you can see, the camera image is only taking up about 2/3 of the screen. If you wanted to go into full screen mode, there is a button here. It doesn't actually change the resolution of the image at all, but it just gives you the whole of your wonderful Galaxy S9 screen to take the shot. And obviously you can toggle that on or off using the same button. Let's have a look at the camera modes now. You can swipe up or down to switch from the rear facing camera to the front facing camera. Obviously selfie mode. Hello! Swipe again to change it back to the rear facing camera, and then you can swipe left or right to choose the different modes, of which there are absolutely plenty in the Galaxy S9. I'm going to start looking at them in more detail right now. Let's start with a very basic demonstration of super slow-mo. This records at 720p 960 frames a second when it detects movement in this box. So let's put my finger and thumb in there, and I'm going to click my finger and thumb. I'll start the recording. And then I clicked my finger and thumb and it should have recorded that as slow-mo. So I'll stop the recording, go to my gallery, and now this is playing. And as you can see, it moved into super slow-mo when I clicked my thumbs. Now, if you'd rather control when the super slow-mo activates, you can switch from auto to manual. So now I'm going to start the recording. And what I have to do is, it's not currently doing slow-mo, but if I tap the activate slow-mo button here, that's now going to do slow-mo for a short amount of time. So that's how you would record manually if you want to capture a specific point of slow motion. Now another cool thing about these slow motion clips is that there's 3 different modes. To access it, tap on the slow motion video and then swipe up to get the details of it, and it will show the super slow-mo clip. So here we have a simple loop, or we can put it in reverse, and finally you have the swing option. There's also a couple of video editing options with slow motion videos. If you tap on it, it will start playing some music. You can turn it off by tapping on the music icon down there. And you can also clip it and do other things with the slow motion options if you wish to. Okay, the next weird and wonderful thing is AR emoji, where it tries to create a 3D image of you. To do this, go to the AR emoji setting, then tap on create emoji, and then it goes to selfie mode. So now I have to get a picture of myself. So I'm just going to look as silly as possible with a smile, lips closed. And once I've done that, the Galaxy S9 should start running through its AR mode once I select male and do next. So as you can see now, it's creating my emoji, and it's going to look like a very generic bald person like that with a very silly smile. Now there's a couple of options here. I could change the skin tone if I want to, and then you can customize it with different clothes, and I can even give myself hair and all sorts of other things if I really wanted to, because I decided that I need some hair back on my head. Anyway, that's a brief run through of emojis. So give it a try and turn yourself into a cartoon character. When you've created your AR emoji, it's going to take a bazillion GIFs of you in your AR emoji pose. So if I just back out of that image, you can see all of those images it's just taken from that one example of the AR emoji picture that I took. And if you want to turn yourself into the AR emoji, let's switch to selfie mode and then put myself in screen. So now here I am talking to the camera with my AR emoji. Isn't that wonderful? You'll probably use it once and then never use it again. But there we are, have a play, see what you think, and is it any better than the iPhone 10 Emojis that are available there? Let us know in the comments below. Now if you don't want to go down the route of creating your own emoji, there are preset ones. For example, if I tap on this face here and choose that option, it's going to make an absolute mockery of my face, and as I change my facial expressions, stuff like this is going to happen. How amusing. Similar to the portrait mode on iPhones, the Galaxy S9 has selfie focus. To try and demonstrate this is currently selfie mode, and you can see that everything around me is in focus, including the microphone here. But if I go to selfie focus mode, what that should do is put my face in focus and everything else blurred around it. Obviously these are ideal conditions, but it should look much better when you're out in the field and take some nice portrait shots like this. The wide selfie mode makes a return whereby it can try and attempt to do a landscape shot in selfie mode. So if I press the shutter and then tilt the camera to cover each of the sides of the image, that should give me a nice wide shot which was in selfie mode. Another huge addition to the Samsung Galaxy S9 is the ability to manually switch the aperture. To do this, you have to go to the Pro mode of your camera, then tap on the aperture setting here to the left, and then tap on this number, and that will manually switch the aperture between 1.5 and 2.4, and this helps determine how much light comes into the camera, and you may benefit from better shots during low light scenes. Obviously this is for pro users of cameras who kind of know what they're doing, and to be honest I haven't got a clue, so use it at your own risk to get the pictures that you want. Selective focus allows you to exaggerate blur more in images. For example, this was a picture I took earlier, and the option comes up when you take the picture in selective focus to adjust the background blur. So now what we can do is have far focus, so that will take this object out of focus and put the King Android in focus. Near focus does the opposite, and then if you want focus on both objects you can do the pan focus there. Again, not ideal situation, so you will have to test this for yourself to see how it works. Once you have a new image that you're happy with, you can save that as a brand new image. If you want to record the moments immediately before and after taking a shot, go to settings and then scroll down to motion photo. Now when you take a picture like this, What that will do is in the gallery you can have a play motion photo, so it should show me placing the King droid in position and then the picture being taken. Now there are an abundance of editing options for pictures, but what I wanted to show you in particular is spot focus. In order to get to it, bring up a picture, 3 dots at the top, and then open in photo editor mode, then go to tone followed by spot color. So that makes it a grayscale picture, but then you can just drag on the screen and select a color that you want. So I'm going to select red here, and as you can see it just paints back in one color, which is red. I'd still need to mess about with this because there is a bit of a red tone at the top here, but it's one of the more interesting new features when you're editing photos. But obviously play around with the features and see what suits you. Another cool feature you might want to consider is setting one of your slow-mo videos as a lock screen. For example, I have 1 second here of the tap running from my previous recording. What I can do now is tap on the 3 dots at the top, set as wallpaper, and confirm that through the setting there. So now, when I go to my lock screen, I've got this rather crude slow-mo motion there, but I'm sure you could do a lot better than me. But give it a try and see what you can do with slow-mo videos and turning them into lock screen wallpapers. If you want to add a timer to your camera pictures, you can certainly do that. Go to settings, and then for each of the rear camera and the front camera there is a timer, so do bear that in mind. Double settings for the timer. Tap on it, you can choose between 2, 5 and 10 seconds, and also you can turn on take 3 shots so that you get multiple shots to get the right one when you're setting the timer. To start recording video, you can simply tap on the record button here, but you must bear something in mind. The framing for any picture on screen is for the camera, not for the video. To set the framing for a video before you start doing a video, press and hold the record button, so now you can see that that question mark is out of sight on the video. If I move my thumb away from the record button and let go, that will not do a recording, it goes back to the camera. So as you can see, the question mark is there again, so do bear this in mind. If you want to use the video, you might want to set up the framing first before starting a recording, because if you tap on the record button, it starts a recording and the question mark is no longer there. Also, when the video starts recording, you can take pictures by tapping on the camera button to the right. Let's have a look at the camera and video resolution now. Bear in mind, because you have a front-facing and rear-facing camera, you're changing the resolution for whatever camera you want to use. So rear camera, picture size, video size, front-facing camera, picture size, and video size. Bear that in mind, you're not changing everything when you change one resolution. As for the resolution you can have, it starts at 12 megapixels for the rear facing camera, but that is a boxy 4:3 image. If you wanted more landscape wide shots, you need to go to 16:9. 9 megapixels, still a very high quality. As for the front facing camera, if you want to go for landscape shots, that's going to 6 megapixels, but again, it's still a very high, good quality pictures. Video size on the rear facing camera starts at 1920x1080, but goes all the way up to Ultra HD 4K 60 frames per second. As for the front facing camera, that starts at 1920x1080, but that goes up to Quad HD. And one final thing, you can change the video efficiency by adding this notch here, and it makes it a more efficient video format to save space. So check that out if you want to use it. A couple of important notes about the video size. Depending on which one you use, if it's Ultra HD for example, 60 frames per second, you may not have access to features such as tracking AF and video effects, and also image stabilization may be lost depending on what resolution you have. If I go up to 4K here and then try and go down to the option for video stabilization, as you can see, it's highlighted off. So if I change my video resolution to something a little more digestible, such as full HD, and then go back to the video stabilization, you can now see that it's switched on, but I can turn it off if I want to. So read the instructions within the resolution pages just to check what features you may lose if you need to use them. If you would prefer to put this shutter button anywhere you would like on screen, go to settings, scroll down to the very bottom, and you have a floating camera button here. Toggle that on, and now you should find an additional shutter button which you can drag around the screen and place it wherever it's convenient for you when taking pictures. You can add voice controls to your camera if you want to by going to settings, Scrolling down to the bottom, toggling on voice control, and you can use any of these commands to take a picture or record video. For example, smile, record video, and there you go. If you want to add some grid lines to your camera, again go into the settings and scroll towards the bottom of the options, and you should find grid lines here. Two options, 3x3 and square. We'll do 3x3, and this just helps you align your pictures more for lower thirds and that sort of thing. So yeah, I definitely have it on when I'm taking pictures. Options now for how you save pictures. The first is the one for saving pictures as previewed. So saving a picture you take as shown in a preview, not as a flipped image. You will want to toggle it on if you want to. And the second one is review pictures. So when you take a picture, it automatically goes to the gallery to show you the picture that you've just taken, so that you would then have to back out to go to the camera. Personal preference here whether you want to turn those two features on or not. I said earlier, if you press and hold the shutter button, that does a burst mode, but you can change the function of that if you want to. Go to settings, scroll all the way down and hold camera button to take burst shot, tap on that, and you can change it to just taking a picture or creating an animated GIF rather than burst mode. Now for some unique ways to take pictures with the front facing camera. First of all, you need to enable these options. Go to settings and then shooting methods. You can tap the screen, show your palm, or tap the heart rate sensor at the back of the phone to take pictures. I've turned them all on. Let's test them and see how well they work. First of all, tap screen. Yeah, that seems to work fine. Now we are going to try raising my palm to take a picture. Yeah, that seems to work okay as well. And then the heart rate sensor is this thing here, which is a little difficult to find when you're trying to take a picture, but here we go. Yeah, it kind of worked after 2 clicks, but a bit more difficult. So if any of those take your fancy, try them. Let us know how you find using them in the comments below. There are a monster number of features in the gallery, so we'll just look at a few of them. First of all, if you want to change the size of the thumbnails, you can pinch to zoom in or out to make these thumbnails bigger or smaller. There are several playback options with videos. For example, you can swipe left and right to scrub the video to the end and the beginning. If you are watching a video, you can swipe up and down on the right hand side of the screen to change the volume, swipe up and down on the left hand side to change the brightness, and finally, when you are playing a video, if you see an option here in the top, you can take a framed picture of what was on the video at that point. I mentioned briefly earlier, one option with pictures is to swipe up when you're on the actual image, and this will give you all the data background on when the picture was taken, where it's been stored to, the resolution, all sorts of interesting stuff to look at when you have an image that you want to look at in more detail. Bixby has invaded the camera as well. It can scan objects and tell you what they are. Sometimes, let's give it a go. Yep, that actually worked. I'm impressed. It can also apparently live translate text. Let's give it a try. It worked in the end. Camera enthusiasts will be delighted to hear that you can save the rear facing pictures in RAW mode. To do this, go to settings, then picture size, and then toggle on save RAW and JPEG files. This only saves the RAW file in Pro mode, so do bear that in mind when you're taking pictures. If you want to streamline your camera experience and get rid of all the modes that you don't use, you can do this by going to settings and then scrolling down to the section called common. So top option, edit camera modes. If I go to rear facing camera, I can change the order of each of these camera modes or simply turn them off if I want to. For example, if I'm not going to use AR emoji mode anymore, let's tick it off and then go back to the camera, and now you should find that it's disappeared from my options. We go from super slow-mo straight to hyperlapse. You can also do that for the front facing camera options as well. And finally, if you've made an absolute mess of your camera settings like I probably have done here going through this tutorial, go to settings, scroll all the way to the bottom and you have reset settings here, and that should bring everything back to its factory default settings. If no nonsense Samsung Galaxy S9 tips and tricks is what you want, then check out the playlist on screen now and stay tuned to the Video Gadgets journal for a lot more to come. Thank you for watching, enjoy the rest of your tech day, bye for now.